Hello, everyone. Welcome to our A24 movie discussion series. Today, we are going to be discussing the movie The Witch, which is available on Canopy for free with your library card. Before we get into it, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Cinnamon Better. I work at the Oxon Hill Branch Library, and I want to give my colleagues a chance to introduce themselves as well.
My name is Jade Campbell. I'm at the Mount Rainier Library.
I'm Daniel Hampton. I'm at the Spalding's Library.
I'm
I
Bashir.
am. Oh, go ahead.
Go for it. Go ahead.
I'm Kiana Turpin McCurtis. I work at the Spalding's branch.
Whoop, whoop.
My name is Bashir. I work at the Fairmont Heights branch.
My name is Elizabeth Ajunwa, and I work at the Glen Arden branch. Sorry, Rachel.
I'm Rachel. I work at the Bowie branch.
I'm Lauren, and I work at the Oxon Hill branch.
All right. Thank you guys again for joining me with this discussion. And thank you, audience member, for tuning in. Before we get started, I just want to give you all this little synopsis about The Witch. It goes like this. New England, 1630. Upon threat of banishment by the church, an English farmer leaves his colonial plantation, relocating his wife and 5 children to a remote plot of land on the edge of an ominous forest. Within lurks an unknown evil. As circumstances grow more treacherous, each family member's faith, loyalty, and love become tested in shocking and unforgettable ways. So, guys, what do we think overall? Did we like the movie? Did we not like the movie?
I liked it.
Yes, I liked it as well.
I liked it. Bashir, why didn't you like it?
Oh,
On the spot.
I mean, just really quickly. I mean, it was. What you see is what you get. I didn't really see any huge twists and turns. I mean, it reminded me of The Revenant in terms of the beauty, in terms of the landscaping. In the beginning, I thought it was beautiful. I enjoyed looking at the woodlands and things of that sort. But there weren't enough twists and turns in it for me, and so consequently, I just wasn't really in awe of the film. So
Feel the same, Bashir. I liked it, but I didn't love it.
It was definitely more straightforward film than the ones we've watched previously.
Yeah, I liked it. I definitely felt like there were some boring moments. I don't know if that was necessarily to kind of just get you the idea of how mundane and difficult the life they're living is.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely was like, ooh, this part is not entertaining. And I don't know about you guys, but I find religious horror to be extremely creepy and unsettling.
Yes.
Definitely.
I was kind of having trouble because it's just like, it just gives me like a ooh feeling.
Right. I think
It's
that was the
crazy
point
if
of
you're-
this film too, to unsettle you.
And if you're a religious person too, it kind of messes with your faith a little bit too, because you're like, oh man, I messed up and told this lie here. Like you have this whole family trying to live according to the scriptures in the Bible, and they're all just falling short just a little bit, but it takes this big old toll on their lives. So I think that was pretty incredible.
well said. Lauren?
I can't say that this was one of my favorite films that we've watched so far, for sure. But I kind of enjoyed it in the context of things that we've watched overall. Like we've done a possession film, so this was interesting to kind of juxtapose against that, or against The Black Coat's Daughter, and this idea of not discussing certain things or keeping things hidden, which is also something that we found in The Farewell. And I liked it, and in terms of like women and women's sexuality, and how we can kind of partner that with some of the discussions we had with Enemy. So I liked it for that, but as an overall film, I couldn't get into it. I didn't dig it.
Okay, so since I did it last time, I'm also going to say that this is Daniel's pick. Um, every week, every month, I'm going to try to get a new colleague of mine to pick a movie so that I'm not choosing all of them. I just want to explore all of our interests and all of our different, I guess, likes as far as film. I personally liked the film. This is my second time watching it. The first time, I was like, this movie was kind of dumb. But this time, knowing that there was going to be a discussion, I really had to watch it. And I think the first time I didn't really watch it, I was mostly on my phone. So this time I was actually watching it, getting into the plot, and like really trying to examine different scenes for what they might have meant. So I appreciated the film for what it was. And it wasn't like a traditional horror film, like Elizabeth said. With religious films, it kind of unsettles you. And it's a little bit more disturbing. So I think that was what did it for me in this film, that it wasn't like a jump scare horror. It was like a unsettling, like, wow, I feel really uneasy right now after watching it. So I liked it.
I liked it as well. This is actually my first film with you all. And it wasn't a really long film, which I also enjoyed. I feel like the theme really kept that suspicion the entire film. Of course, you know, religion is a strong, I guess, sense, for lack of a better term, throughout the film. There was one particular part in the film where the little boy is in the woods and he's like praying because he's lost. Film, I thought that was just one moving scene, but overall, yes, I liked it, and I did think it was going to be quite boring, but it wasn't. It kept me. So good pick, Daniel.
So I'm glad Kiana brought up the scene with the little boy praying in the woods. So she said that she found that particularly moving. What about you guys? What scene kind of like stuck with you after the movie? You're just like, wow, like what scene disturbed you or either moved you in the movie?
Caleb was in the house and he came back after the witch. That was gross.
That was crazy.
Scary.
Yeah.
For a child actor to deliver those lines and that scene the way he did, wow.
He did a phenomenal job.
Amazing. But yeah, that creeped me out too, Rachel.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I had goosebumps.
I think the one scene that stuck out for me was the ending. It was at the end in the Dark Force. What is it? Black Phillip?
Black Phillip, yes.
Okay.
Black Phillip has a crown going out of his head.
He's talking to Thomasine, and his voice is very dark.
Oh my gosh.
Haunting. And he lures her to sign her name, you know. And then when she's walking through the woods and she's nude, and then, you know, you hear the chanting of the women, and then they begin, I guess she starts to chant as well, and then starts to float in the air. I liked that part. It's the most moving for me.
So I feel like Thomasin was destined to be a witch from the moment where she first prayed and asked for forgiveness and asked to be protected. I feel like that was the start of her journey, because it was almost like, do you know who you're praying to? One, do you know who you're talking to? Because, you know, she started off her journey asking for forgiveness, asking to be kept and protected, and asking for mercy and things like that, and ends up being the only one left in the movie, which to me it kind of felt like she was just destined to be this witch. Black Phillip didn't attack her, and eventually he actually started. He talks to her at the end, and then I think he shows her like his true form or something like that, because you see somebody walking around her and behind her. So I really enjoyed those scenes, and I like what they did. They did a lot of foreshadowing when they were talking about the devil whispers and how he quotes scriptures and things like that. So it kind of, I really enjoyed those moments.
Just to piggyback off of that, I kind of looked at her becoming a witch as like, and signing her name as kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way, because she was like accused of being a witch, and then you look at it, she was probably like the most innocent one out of all of them.
Right.
And it's like at the end they were all gone. She left by herself. I was like, well, I might as well go ahead and sign my name because I mean that's what everybody has been telling me up to this point already. So it's like, okay, well, let me go ahead and see what's on this side of things.
Things weren't that good for her before anyway.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I want to taste butter. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to wear the nice clothes. Yeah, I want to see the world. I was like,
The way
Or-
he said world, he was like, do you want to travel the world?
Yeah, that joint was freaky.
I was like, oh my God, no.
Ultimately, she was like the only person who hadn't committed a sin or committed anything
Yeah.
evil.
Exactly.
Hadn't lied about anything.
Right.
Lauren, what were
But-
you going to say?
Uh-oh.
I was just gonna say, like, but it lends itself to this idea of being very susceptible and being very vulnerable. She's always been a very vulnerable person, and to be constantly isolated, I thought that was really interesting from the get-go. Like, she's isolated from her entire community, and that focus, I will say, like at the very beginning, we don't really see William first and her mother. We see all the kids. It
Right.
centers the camera pans in mostly on the children, and then especially on her in particular. But she's always been the outsider, and then mom wants to sell her, and then mom accuses her of being this overly sexual being who's trying to get to her brother and trying to get to her father. And so it makes sense. I wouldn't say necessarily to say that she was just destined to become a witch, but it makes sense that she's destined to become susceptible to somewhere where she's going to be, or she's going to have a sense of belonging. So I just thought, I was like, wow, what full circle. I really liked that she's rejected all this time. So of course she's going to go off when that's an option. She can't go home. Home.
Right.
So why not become a part of the coven?
Bashir, what about you? Did you find any one scene moving or disturbing?
Honestly, I've been racking my brain trying to figure out the scene that really jumped out at me. All the scenes that everyone talked about were definitely scenes that conjure up in my mind, and they were really powerful scenes. Especially at the end. I don't know how they got the guy to have the wood logs fall on his head without actually crushing him. But at the end, yeah, I mean, it was really gruesome to see the mother attack the daughter and vice versa. That was kind of disheartening, to see the family kind of cave in on each other.
Right.
And I didn't understand why it was that the kids, the twins were, so adamant, to try to get their bigger sister in trouble. I mean, they faked like they were possessed, like, and it was like, she's like, wake up, stop, knock it off. Like, y'all playing with my life here. And the twins are like, they don't care. And so I there were, that scene when Caleb coughs up the apple, the entire apple, apparently that was like the longest scene in the film. And it was one of the most difficult scenes to film because I think there's this cacophony of voices. Everybody's kind of talking at the same time. And they had to try to figure out how to make that work in that small space, but they pulled it off. And it was a really powerful scene. And so for me, I guess I have to say that scene where Caleb, unfortunately passes away, in that state, I didn't see that coming. I thought he was like cleared of the spirit, and he was good to go, about to pop up, and I don't know, but it was sad to see him pass like that. So that was a very powerful scene for me.
Can I ask a quick question? Do you guys think that ending or that last call out that Caleb has, is he calling out for God or is he calling out for someone else?
I think that's the question, like that it leaves that open, because there's no clarity on what Lord he's speaking to, because you can use those words both way. And actually, I was going to comment on that. I found the ambiguity in that scene very interesting, that they just like left it open, because there's so many questions. I mean, we haven't touched on this yet, but there's the little baby who gets, taken away, and there's questions on if that baby is going to go to hell or not. And there is like ultimately the belief that because the baby wasn't baptized, it would. And they kind of leave that path open for Caleb as well. So I feel like you kind of, the viewer is given the option to decide if he is, goes to his side or the dark side, as Keanu says. But yeah, so it makes it like tragic or like uplifting, depending on the viewer.
Because the word choices are very romantic in nature, or
Yeah.
to me seemed a little sensual and confusing. And so I was wondering if anybody else had feelings about that.
Seemed a little devilish. Yeah, it seemed a little lustful.
Yeah, lustful is definitely the word I would use too.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you pick up on that, because I definitely kind of associated this film and all of the characters with like the 7 deadly sins. And where it's like Caleb obviously was having some lust issues. The mom, she was like I'd say she kind of fits in 2 categories. I'm still trying to figure out which one I would put her in, but like envy, I feel like she kind of envied Thomasin a little bit, but I also felt like she was very wrathful as well. Yeah, so I feel like a lot of the characters just had like, I could put each one of them into one of the 7 deadly sin categories, and it kind of just like at the end, I will say that Thomasin, who throughout the movie seemed to be the most innocent one, like when he started talking about butter, clothes, and seeing the world, you could kind of see that greed kind of fill her in a little way, in a way, and also the lust too. So it's like I feel like she felt like each one of those towards the end of the movie was like envy. Okay, I want everybody else. What I see everybody else has been having. I don't want to be out here living on the prairie. It's like I'm gonna get back at my family for calling me and treating me like a witch. I'm gonna go ahead and just sign my book and become one anyway. So I feel like she kind of exhibited all of them at the end. I feel like all of them kind of could have fit into one of those 7 deadly sin categories.
A question, you guys, too. About the witches, do you all think that multiple witches were visiting their house and kind of taking part of the shenanigans instead of just that one witch? I didn't realize that until watching it the second time.
I never even thought of that.
Yeah,
neither did I.
Because at first I was like, okay, maybe this old witch is like stealing the children for like to bathe in their blood for youth or something.
Right.
And I was like, then I saw the scene at the end and was like, okay, maybe there was just more than one witch the entire time.
Yeah.
Like when the crow is eating the mom, but at the same time, the other witch is inside the barn with Black Phillip and the other goats.
Exactly.
Sucking on the.
I thought that witch looked like their mom.
The old one, yeah.
The one that was in the barn.
Burn.
Because I was like, okay, so maybe this is all in her head, and she's just thinking that the witch, she's like kind of personifying her mother to be a witch, and how because of her behavior was quite wicked. So like, I thought it was going to take like a psychological thriller type of turn, but it didn't.
Okay. I would say 2 of the scenes that kind of stuck out to me was when the baby initially got kidnapped and they were kind of playing peekaboo and having a good time in the, close to the woods. And then the second time when the brother got taken, they were, walking through the woods after having gotten the rabbit from the trap. And she was talking about how the old days used to be, how the sun used to shine through their windows and how things used to be better than they were now. And I started thinking like, wow, like maybe she knew that something was about to happen and she's trying to make these last few moments enjoyable or not necessarily hand them over to the witch, but she wanted them to remember like better times once they got taken. So I just thought that it was weird that she was involved. She was in both places, with the older brother and then with the baby. She was both there when, both of them got taken, but she was also trying to make it a happy time. So those 2 scenes stuck out to me. But I wanted to go back to what Daniel said about Thomasin maybe being destined to be a witch. we all are aware of all of the events that took place. You know, her parents accusing her, the twins kind of encouraging it, and you know, the baby being kidnapped, pretty much being the catalyst for the whole family, like Bashir said, caving in on themselves. Do you think though that the events pushed her to become a witch, or do you think that Black Phillip pretty much created the perfect storm for it to happen? Like he ordained it pretty much. Like, I want this person to become a witch, and so I'm going to precipitate all of these events. Or do you think that the events just happened because the family was in the woods and it was just a happened because of circumstance? What do you guys think?
Yeah, because I get the sense that she was always like the target in a way. Like, I never really got, oh, we want the family to become like a family of witches. I always felt like she is the one that he's after.
He was like the ideal age, though. She wasn't too young. Like the young babies, they were used for youth and to be killed and things like that. She wasn't too old, so she had the potential to change her mind and, you know, get into something new, which was the witchcraft. But honestly, like I said, I swear it's from the prayer. I think that initiated it and kind of opened the door to like the spiritual realm or whatever. And then, do we know where Black Phillip came from? They just had him. They just got him one day, right?
Yeah, I don't think they give.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
clarity. Like, but I mean, I feel like if I saw that goat, I would not have taken it. I'm like, no,
Right.
Yeah.
You
At
look
all.
evil. I'm
Right.
not raising this. I don't like. No. The first time I saw that goat and the bunny, I'm just like, why? Why are you guys? Because I mean, there's the whole thing where they're trying to get this bunny, and I'm like, this bunny looks evil. Like, why?
Right.
Just
He
leave
doesn't
it.
look
Just leave it.
scared. Like,
No.
he
Right.
didn't
Like,
run
it's
off
like
when you
it's
guys
like
approached him.
egging you on to
Right. Daring
Like,
you to catch it.
yeah.
Bad things happen when that bunny was around.
Right. Talk about the bunny. So yeah, I don't think anyone gave clarity on that. I don't know. I feel like things started from the moment they decided to leave the society. I just felt like that was a decision to, you know, I guess that was the first sin kind of in this movie, that, you know, the father follows his pride to leave the community, and it just made everyone vulnerable. So
Yeah, because I know Cinema was saying like the loss of the baby was like the catalyst, but I feel like the catalyst started kind of like in the beginning, where he was like so prideful, so holier than thou. He was like, I'm going to take my family and we're going to live the righteous way, the right way. And it's like, come to find out, all y'all are horrible.
and also like things were already bad. Like their crops were rotting. Like they couldn't. There was already things that were horrible, and there had to have been a reason why the mom didn't want them to go into the woods. Like
exactly.
No one even talked. So there was already probably evil things that they were aware of, and they just kind of didn't talk about. So I just felt like it started the moment they left whatever protection of the society that they had.
Yeah. One of the things I found really interesting was like just the contrast between, like, you see that you're in this lush green prairie like forest type area, but then it's like you look at the soil and it's like bone dry, and it's like you can't grow anything from it. And it's like that's an indication there something's wrong, in my opinion. It was weird.
And the fact that the father didn't pick up on that, and we find out later that he has no skills. Like,
like your only skill, like
save for chopping wood. Save for chopping wood. That's it.
Those are the only skills. So he literally led his family, like you said, that was the very beginning, was letting your family out into this area and having no skills in which to keep them safe. And Elizabeth, I want to touch on what you said with the rotting of the food. In just doing a quick read of some reviews of this, one thing that was posited was that it was ergot poisoning, which was already something that was suspected in terms of what some of the children had, I think, during the Salem witch trials. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody who's watching and has more knowledge of Salem witch trials, but ergot poisoning would have caused hallucinations and would have also created some destruction within the home. So I guess that would be my next question for you all is, do you think this was real, or do you think this was a product of the father really having no skills in recognizing dangers and no skills in kind of keeping them safe in the way that he should have?
I don't think they're mutually exclusive, only because he clearly had no skills. but then it's the fact that, yeah, you're running out into this weird looking field, and now the baby just disappeared during a game of peekaboo. And it's like, that doesn't happen. Like, whether it was a real person or not, you would see a physical being coming up, snatching the kid and running away, as opposed to peekaboo, baby's gone. So I feel like it could be it's likely that it was a combination of both. And like, cause you know how context and experience can kind of shape your hallucinations in a way. So it's like their hallucinations could have been very religious, devil-based, because that was where they're coming from.
I think that's an interesting theory, because in the beginning of the movie, they talk about how, or either the beginning of that, and they talk about how the words that are said in the movie are taken from like the Salem witch trials in that era. So it's like they literally took it from that era. So I'm sure if there was a disease during that time, like that's all a part of it. I wouldn't be surprised if that's, you know, a behind the scenes thought process in making the movie.
Yeah, I think it was like a little statement that they flashed up at the end where it was like the folklore, Salem witch trial, all of that. Yeah.
Right. So it comes from all of it. So,
yeah. And I read that sorry, Liz. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, like Daniel said, it probably is a mixture of everything, like the reality as well as the folklore.
Right.
Yeah, I read that the director, it took him about 3 or 4 years to do research for this movie. So I'm pretty sure he left no stone unturned as far as researching different, resources. Did anybody else want to comment about whether they think she was destined or whether Black Phillip kind of started everything, or have another theory about what started everything? Okay, we're gonna move on to theme. So I know some of you said that the movie was pretty straightforward, but what themes did you guys see in the movie that kind of resonated with you or that you noticed?
Sexual repression and repression in a like religious society.
That's a good one, because it definitely seems like anything sexual or sensual is like automatically deemed as satanic or evil, or particularly with women, I noticed for that era.
I sense that they wanted to send a message to those who are a little bit overzealous, to tell them, say, hey, pump your brakes, take it easy, because I think that was part of the reason why my man wanted to leave. It's like, you guys are not really practicing. And they're like, we practicing, but you kind of going overboard with it.
Yeah.
So they was like, you gonna have to go with that. And so my man should have just found a middle ground, and then they would have been cool. But he wanted to go above and beyond. And so I think they were saying to the people, don't be overzealous. Take it easy. Pump your brakes.
Like, yeah, you kind of have to practice your beliefs in context in a way. So it's like, okay, yeah, you just can't be super, super rigid, because that's when you start getting prideful and arrogant. And then that's where you start, messing up your life as well as everybody else's life. And you become like that cautionary tale. Like his family is a cautionary tale for plantation, because it's like, okay, well, see, if you want to act like that, then you're going to end up like that.
You see what happened to them.
Exactly.
I wanted to touch on the theme of grief, and how when like a tragedy happens within a family, there's always one scapegoat. Like especially when there's like a loss of a child. Sometimes the parents blame themselves, they blame the other partner. And in this instance, the mom blamed Thomason. And she had to deal with being the scapegoat for the family. And as a result of that, everything bad that ended up happening, it was on Thomason. After that baby disappeared, after the baby was kidnapped, it was like, oh, my cup is gone. Thomason.
Exactly.
Oh, aren't coming in.
And
Did you
whole time it was husband.
right? And he let her take the fall though. He let her take the fall, and I was
He
just
was
like,
going
"Are you
to
gonna
use
speak
her
up?"
again as a scapegoat.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, this girl is suffering. The twin daughter was like, yeah, mom hates you. And I'm just like, she probably does. Like, that's so sad, but she shouldn't. Thomason was innocent, you know, like she's still a child herself. And I think because I guess this also goes into the theme of like older siblings kind of being that second mother in the family. You know, Thomason had way more responsibility than she probably should have. Like, these are your children, mom. Why is she, you know,
she
secondary caretaker? So I don't know. I just felt bad for Thomason because, again, she was just blamed for everything. It was kind of like the icing on the cake for the twins to just jokingly say that she was the witch, and her parents like, of course you are. You're to blame for everything that's going wrong. It's you, it's you, it's you.
Yeah.
Just like, oh my God, no, poor Thomason. So I felt bad for her.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to like the scene that probably moved me the most is like when she finally stood up to like her dad.
Right.
It was like, you are the problem. You are the reason we're here. Are you just going to chop wood all day like you've been doing? Because, like, you took the cup and let me take the fall for it.
Right. And one thing that she kept saying throughout her argument was like, this is the truth. This is the truth. Like, I'm not being disrespectful. Exactly. This is the truth as I see it and as you see it. I'm not lying. I'm not, you know, disrespecting you or anything, but this is the truth. You know it and I know it. Because he kept telling her, you know, tell the truth. I know you're a witch. And she's just like, actually, no, but you can't do anything but chop wood. Like, you blamed me for this cup. You lied about why you took our little brother into the forest. You're the liar here, not me.
Exactly.
So I was proud of her then too for standing up to him, but it kind of got her into more hot water.
And just to keep in the aspect of themes, it's just like, I feel like anytime a child stands up to a parent with like some hardcore facts, it's like, oh no, you're being disrespectful. Or it's like that toxic parent-child relationship where it's like, I'm the parent, you're the child, you have to do whatever I say, whether I'm right or wrong. And it's just like, no, because you're wrong and it's getting us killed.
Right, right.
You're not doing this right at all.
It's resulting in the demise of our family. Like, can I have a second with you? We just discuss this? We might be able to do this a different way. Like, can we just have a family discussion real quick?
Because I even think it was telling that she had that conversation with him one-on-one as opposed to out in front of everybody.
Right, because she could have put him on blast, really.
She was even respectful in her approach then. Like, yeah, she was going at him, but I feel like she was respectful because it was like a one-on-one conversation.
She matched his energy, I think, because she was saying, you know, you won't hear me. Like, I'm crying to you, telling you that I'm not this witch and you're not hearing me plead with you to not believe the lies that the twins are saying. And then I guess she kind of just was fed up with it. She was just like, okay, this approach is not working, so now I'm going to call you out on the things that you aren't doing and the problems that you have caused to this family since you are trying to make me the scapegoat. So
and it was a really minor detail. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I could have sworn when her mom and dad were having that conversation about selling her off or whatever it was, they had said she had started her cycle, so she was like a full grown woman now. So it's like, okay, so now she's standing up for herself as a grown young adult woman. And it's like that whole catch-22. It's like, you're old enough to do this, but you're not old enough to talk back to me. And it's like, well, what do you expect me to do? I heard you trying to sell me off. Y'all are innocent.
Definitely. Do you guys think that the rabbit symbolized anything, or what do you think the rabbit symbolized?
That is my question.
He wasn't lucky, I'll tell you that.
Well, I've been racking my brain about what this rabbit could have possibly meant. And the only thing that I can actually theorize is that, you know how rabbits kind of symbolize innocence, purity, something cute, cuddly, and harmless. But whatever he was around, like, obviously he was a representation of the devil in some form. But he was like a harmless representation that kept drawing you in because I feel like Caleb and I guess his name was William, the dad. They were hunting this rabbit, and the rabbit was just leading them deeper and deeper into the woods. I felt like, which is like the epicenter for all this evil force. So that was the only, that was like the only thing I could come up with as far as the rabbit was concerned.
Which is
I feel like there were different symbols that, sorry. I felt like there were different symbols that like manifested to tempt people, like the bunny, Black Phillip, the cup. Like I felt like there were just all these different things.
Yeah.
And the bunny was just another manifestation that would somehow entice the family to sign the book and, you know, or, you know, just end up dying, realizing that, you know, things didn't work out for them like the dad did. He kind of just realized that he couldn't, like evil had taken over.
Yeah.
So that's what because I don't know. There's a lot of different symbols and I think that was one of them.
Lauren?
I just thought it was interesting because at one point the dad says, and I'm going to quote this incorrectly, but I did just want to make a note that he says something along the lines of, kind of like, we shall tame this wilderness, it shall not tame us, or we shall overcome this wilderness, it shall not overcome us. So I thought that it was really interesting that it is rabbits, crows, it's all natural elements that are kind of leading them to their doom in a sense.
Yeah, the scene with the crow, I thought it was odd from the beginning because I saw the cup in the corner. I don't know if you guys saw that, but the cup was like resting on the barrel. And I was like, what is that cup doing there? And then when she turned around, the baby and Caleb were sitting there. I was like, dang, she's hallucinating. Like she's completely lost it. And like it felt bad. I felt bad because it's like her grief has overtaken her so much that she's kind of been separated from reality at this point. You know, she misses her children. And so I don't know. It was just sad. Did you guys have any lingering questions or comments? Lauren, I know I wanted to talk to you or get you to talk about the score.
Sure. I will hold on 1 second. I just kind of wanted to I just wanted to touch on what you said with the mother and kind of like that losing touch with reality. And I know we had kind of said it's kind of like a mixture of both reality and hallucinations. Because remember, her breasts are bleeding the next day.
Right.
So it did happen, or something happened.
Right.
Where she's, you know, where the hallucination became real. But as for the score, I didn't get a chance to see if it was available on Freegal this time around.
Okay.
I will double check and I can make sure to put that in the chat for anyone who is interested. This particular score wasn't something that I could see myself listening to frequently.
Right.
It's a lot more insidious and more chanting when it does happen. I mean, it's good, and I think the song at the end was really, really good too. But yeah, I do apologize for that.
Yeah.
No, you're fine. I don't know if anybody watches their movies. I don't know if anybody watches their movies with the captions on, but I do. So I'm always so
I did, yeah.
like
I did.
tickled to see that it says like ominous family, ominous animal farm sounds. And I'm just like, ooh, okay.
Whoever has come up with these creative descriptions is amazing.
Right. Ominous goat bleeding. Like, oh my gosh, okay.
Black Phillip. What do you guys think happened to Jonas and Mercy?
Captions. Watch it with the captions because I couldn't understand. I was like, okay, I don't know what people are saying. So
Yeah, especially the whisper scenes, you got to have the captions for that.
And with the accents, I think that made it kind of hard to understand as well.
Jeanette, you asked a really good question.
Yeah, what happened to Jonas and Mercy? They just like disappeared.
They died.
Did they? You didn't see them.
Yeah, they didn't show their bodies.
I think they got used as, you know, youth blood.
Youth blood?
Yeah.
That's
what I was thinking.
Yeah. I think so.
Because they were locked away in the barn with
After
Thomas
all,
and the witch and the goat.
Right.
I usually don't watch movies with captions. I actually hate it because I
Really?
know, and by the time I'm like halfway in the sentence, they're already flashing something else on the screen.
Right.
But I did like the dialogue. So yeah, I wish I did have the captions on.
Yeah, and I think out of all of the movies that we've watched, this has probably had dialogue every minute in every scene. Like a lot of the movies that we've discussed so far, it's not dialogue heavy. They rely a lot on cinematography and like character actions, I guess.
Yeah.
But this one they were talking all the time. And of course it was Old English. Also wanted to mention that if you're gonna watch the movie, it's in Old English, so be prepared for that. It's not like regular American vernacular, I guess. It's in Old English, so it's kind of hard to understand. So if you're going to watch, I definitely recommend putting the captions on, especially because you're going to miss things like ominous animal farm sounds, which I always think is interesting. So yeah. Anything else you guys wanted to add? Jade, did we talk about your question?
Yeah, we did.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to them.
And then when she was coming out of the barn, she was like, the mom was like, "Their blood's on your hands." But Rachel's right. You never really saw their bodies. I thought that might have just been done for like political correctness, though, because it's like looking at dead kid bodies.
Okay, political. It's funny you brought up political correctness.
That's what I was going to say. Probably not political correctness.
I don't think
Caleb
so.
was out there frolicking. And,
forget that. What about the opening scene where someone said there was this fondling of the little baby?
Yeah.
In areas where you shouldn't be fondling people. So I don't think they was worried about political correctness because that was disturbing to a lot of people.
See, this is
But you mean when the witch had the baby?
I don't know if we were fondling the baby.
Scene, yeah.
I don't know if we were fondling the baby or if we were circumcising the baby, because that same area, she had a knife in the other hand, and I was like, "What is happening?"
She was splitting them open.
But she mashed up the whole baby. You guys remember, like in the beginning, like that. It looked like mashed up like cherries or something, like in
it's
that
like
barrel.
so she split them open them in half. Mushed them, put them in there.
Jade with the graphic details.
Not mushed them.
Oh my God! Took his headphones off. I'm out of here.
Please no, we don't need the graphic description of a baby mashing. Okay, I think we can let our imaginations.
Viewers' discretion is advised.
Warning: there is baby mashing.
Trigger
There's
warning.
a cute baby that does not make it through the rest of the movie.
The views expressed in this review
I won't lie
are
though.
Not the views shared by all members.
That opening scene, I was really hoping in real life that was her baby and not somebody else's baby being used as a prop. I was like,
yeah, that was it was bad. It's bad.
I don't want to end on a baby mashing note.
I wonder how much that baby's getting paid.
So at the end of the movie, she felt like she was really liberated, and it wasn't a happy ending, but yeah.
Yeah, when she kind of joined the coven, I feel like that was one of the few times in the movie that she actually smiled. Like you could just tell there was a weight lifted off of her shoulders. You know, she felt free.
The only time
it's like she had to go through a lot of loss to gain that comfortability and to gain that confidence. She had to go through a lot of trials to get there.
Yeah, I didn't foresee them floating in the air at the end. That threw me for a loop. Like I didn't. Well, I mean, wow.
After she like rubs the mashed up baby all over herself, she starts rising up to the moon.
Right. But she has the broomstick though. She has a broomstick because she actually rubs some of the baby stuff on the broomstick.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that part.
She went full, like she went all in with that baby, man. Oh, poor baby.
Poor baby.
Quite literally.
We were not talking about the baby mashing anymore.
Rachel, you brought us back to the baby mash. Sorry. Okay, so if nobody has any lingering questions or comments, Again, I wanted to thank you all for joining us to view our discussion, and hopefully we've got some interesting questions in the chat that we can answer. Also wanted to thank my colleagues for coming and being on this
Plug.
panel with me discussing this movie.
Tell her Janae.
Plug.
Oh,
Canopy.
Canopy. No, I said it in the beginning. Yes,
Yeah,
The
I said it
Witch.
did.
Yes, The Witch is available for free on Canopy with your library card, as is thousands of other movies and documentaries. They have new stuff added like every month. They'll also send you an email letting you know what films are new on Canopy. Every Monday, I think I get the emails. So it's a great resource. Even if you're not going to watch The Witch, please use it if you have a library card. And we will be back in January. We haven't decided which movie we're going to do yet, but I'm hoping that one of you will pick another movie.
Well, yes, here. My birthday is in January, so I think I should pick the movie.
Okay, so
Yeah.
stay tuned. Bashir is going to pick January's movie, and we hope to see you all next time. Thank you for joining. Bye.